I want you to picture a specific Sunday night. You're sitting at the kitchen table, maybe looking at a spreadsheet or just staring at the calendar for the week ahead.
Hmm.
And on paper, you are a massive success. You've got the degree on the wall, the job title that impresses your parents, the car in the driveway, maybe even the mortgage on a nice house.
The whole checklist. You did everything you were supposed to do.
Exactly, the box is checked. But here's the paradox, and I think a lot of our listeners are going to feel this in their gut. You don't feel like a winner.
No.
You feel stuck. Feels less like you've reached the summit and more like you're on a high-speed treadmill. You're terrified to stop because if you stop running, the mortgage, the car payments, the tuition.
It all falls apart. That's a very specific, visceral kind of exhaustion.
It is.
It's the exhaustion of just maintenance. You aren't
Yeah.
building anymore. You're just trying to keep the machine from breaking down.
That is exactly the feeling we are unpacking today. We've got a stack of documents here, the TOT Wealth Map and the TOT Soul Map. And I wanted to be really clear up front. This is not your standard how to save money on lattes advice. This isn't about picking the next hot stock.
No, absolutely not. This is a structural analysis. It's a philosophical deep dive into why capable, high-earning, disciplined people hit this invisible ceiling.
And the source material calls this ceiling the middle-class trap.
Yeah.
And honestly, the way they define that trap in the escape route, it's a little bit unsettling.
It's supposed to be.
It challenges a lot of our assumptions.
The whole point is to shake you out of a false sense of security. It frames the middle class not as a financial number, but as a position of awakening.
Okay, let's stop there for a second, because that sounds a bit abstract. When I hear middle class, I think of a tax bracket. I think of a household income between X and Y.
Sure.
But you're saying the TOT Wealth Map treats it as a mindset?
Think of it structurally. In this framework, reaching the middle class isn't a failure. It's actually a huge achievement. It means you've escaped the gravity of basic survival.
You're not hungry. You're not homeless.
Exactly. You have a profession, you have discipline, and you have what the text calls force.
Force meaning
Yeah.
what? Energy? Money.
Raw capacity, the ability to work hard, to generate income, to solve problems, that is force. But here's the tragedy, and this is the core of the track.
Okay.
The middle class treats this position as the destination. They plant their flag and say, I've arrived, I'm comfortable.
But the map says that's wrong.
The map views it as merely a stopover. It's a station. It's the waiting room where you're supposed to wake up, look around, and realize the vehicle that got you here, your labor, your time,
It can't get you to the next stage.
it can't. And if you treat the waiting room like your forever home, you get stuck. Worse, you start renovating it. You buy nicer furniture for it, but you never actually leave the station.
That is a haunting image. So if we are stuck in this station, what are we missing? The sources talk a lot about this concept of the axis, or the original text, tricky.
Right, the axis.
Now, axis sounds like high school geometry. What does it mean for my bank account?
Okay, imagine a spinning top. If that top is spinning incredibly fast, that's your life, your career, your busyness, it generates a lot of force. But if it doesn't have a solid center, a fixed vertical axis, what happens?
It wobbles, it drifts, eventually it just crashes into something.
Exactly. It goes wherever the terrain takes it. The source material argues that most middle-class individuals have high force. They're spinning very fast, but they lack an axis.
They live by borrowed standards?
Borrowed standards
Borrowed from who?
from everyone else. Social pressure, what your parents expect, marketing campaigns. You buy the luxury SUV not because it fits a long-term strategic map, but because, well, that's what a successful person drives.
It's a reaction.
It's a total reaction. Without an axis, a living internal frame of reference, every decision is just a response to the world around you.
That hits home. It's the difference between driving with a GPS set to a specific place versus just driving fast because everyone else on the highway is driving fast.
Precisely. And that lack of an internal GPS, that lack of an axis, is what leads us right into the three structural bottlenecks. These are the specific mechanical reasons people feel like they're running in place.
Okay, let's get into the weeds here. I want to walk through these because I have a feeling a lot of us are going to see ourselves in the mirror. First one is income without a map.
This is the classic hamster wheel. The source poses a critical question here, and I'd ask you listening to actually pause and answer this mentally.
Okay.
In 5 to 10 years, will my finances operate on human power, meaning my labor, or will they operate on a system?
That is a heavy question. Because if the answer is human power, it means I have to keep showing up every single day, forever, or the money just stops.
And not only do you have to show up, you usually have to show up more. This is where that lifestyle creep comes in. You get a raise, so you move to a better neighborhood, your expenses just rise to meet your income.
Golden handcuffs.
Right, so you're making more money, but you aren't making progress. You're just processing more cash. You become a highly paid pipe for money to flow through. Nothing sticks.
It's flow through, not
Yeah.
accumulation.
Yeah.
Okay, that's depressing enough. Let's move to bottleneck number 2, because I think this is where the author really picks a fight with traditional advice.
Oh, yeah.
Assets without a wealth engine.
This is where it gets controversial.
Yeah, because I look at my house, my car, the stuff I own, and I call those assets. My net worth statement says they are.
Yeah.
But the TOT map disagrees.
The TOT map is ruthless here. It classifies things like your personal car, your main home, or even cash sitting in a checking account as energy-consuming assets.
Hold on, how's my house energy consuming? It's real estate. It goes up in value.
Does it pay you every month? Or do you pay it? You pay the mortgage, the property tax, the insurance, the new roof, the broken water heater. It requires your force to maintain its existence.
Okay, fair point. It eats cash flow.
Exactly. The definition of wealth in this material is very specific. Wealth is the ability to transform value into a sustainable, protected cash flow.
I see.
So if you are just storing the past, which is what savings are, you aren't creating a future. You have a storage unit, not an engine.
So a wealth engine isn't just having stuff. It's having stuff that does work for you.
Correct. A rental property could be part of an engine. A business system is an engine. But a pile of cash or a big house you live in, that's dead weight until you sell it, and you can't eat your house.
That brings us to the third bottleneck, which, frankly, is the scariest one. Unmanaged life risks.
This is the fragility factor. The middle class often confuses savings with safety. You hear it all the time. I have 6 months of expenses saved, so I'm safe.
I mean, that's standard financial advice. Why is that wrong?
It's not wrong, it's just incomplete. The source material argues true safety isn't about hoarding a pile of cash. True safety is ensuring your access, your central stability, cannot be broken by a bad scenario.
What kind of scenario we're talking about?
A black swan event, a severe medical diagnosis, a massive lawsuit, a crisis that wipes out your whole industry. The text points out that one unmanaged risk can wipe out 10 to 20 years of accumulation in a few weeks.
That's terrifying. You spend 20 years working your tail off, saving diligently, and 1 month of bad luck resets you to zero.
And if that is even a possibility, then you were never actually safe, you were just lucky. The bottleneck is that most people build their lives assuming the weather will always be sunny. They don't build for the storm.
Okay, so let's recap the diagnosis.
Yeah.
Because it is grim. We're running on human power, holding assets that eat our cash, and we are vulnerable to a single bad day. How do we get out?
Right, so the text shifts here to escaping the ceiling and building this wealth engine. And the first thing it emphasizes is that this is not a reckless jump. You don't just walk into your boss's office tomorrow and quit. You don't liquidate your 401k to buy crypto.
It's a restructuring, not a gamble.
Exactly. It's a deliberate transition from selling time to owning a value-creating structure. And this wealth engine has 3 distinct layers. And I really want to stress this. The order matters more than anything else.
Okay, walk us through the layers.
Layer 1 is protection. Layer 2 is accumulation. Layer 3 is growth.
See, that feels backward to me. And I bet it feels backward to a lot of listeners. Everyone wants to start with layer 3. We want the growth. We want the 10x returns.
We want to be investors. Everyone wants to be the capital allocator. It's sexy. Protection is boring. But the source makes a crucial point. If you skip layer 1 protection, every investment you make becomes a life risk.
Give me a concrete example of that failure.
Okay, so imagine you take all your liquid cash, your savings, and you start a business. That's layer 3 behavior, growth.
Right.
But you didn't secure your health insurance or a separate emergency fund for your family's basic survival. That's layer 1.
And then life happens.
Exactly. You get sick. Or the market dips. Or your kidneys braces. Suddenly you have to raid the business capital to pay for personal life. You have to eat the seed corn. You destroy the engine because you didn't build the shield first.
So step 1, according to the TOT map, is protect the life axis.
Yes. Before you make money, you must protect the ability to make money. This means insurance. It means a cash buffer that is untouchable. It means legal structures that separate your business risk from your personal assets.
It's like climbing a mountain. You put the safety harness on before you start climbing. The harness doesn't help you go up, but it ensures you don't die if you slip.
That is the perfect analogy. You are only allowed to take risks in the market if your baseline survival is guaranteed no matter what happens. Once that's locked in, then you move to step 2.
Strategic accumulation.
Mhm.
How is that different from just saving money?
Saving is passive, it's just not spending. Strategic accumulation is active. It says every dollar must have a specific mission in the long-term map. You are gathering resources, gathering force to fuel the engine.
You're not buying toys, you're buying fuel.
Exactly. You're disciplined not because you're cheap, but because you have a plan. And then finally, you get to step 3,
The fun part.
controlled growth. Only now do you focus on creating new cash flow. Only now do you invest. And notice the shift. When done this way, wealth becomes a consequence of the structure. It's not the goal you chase, it's the exhaust the engine produces when it runs correctly.
That's a powerful reframe. You build the machine, and the machine produces the freedom.
And the result is that your time is liberated. You are no longer selling hours to survive. Your structure pays for your survival, and your time belongs to you.
Which brings us to the part of the text that I found the most surprising. Usually, financial advice stops at financial freedom. You know, the dream of sitting on a beach with a margarita.
Right, the fire your boss fantasy.
But the TOT map gets almost philosophical here. It introduces the concept called the shaft keeper, or in the original Vietnamese, Nu Ji Trok.
This is my favorite part of this deep dive because it challenges the selfishness of the whole financial freedom movement. That's about my time, my comfort. The shaft keeper concept asks a much harder question.
Which is?
Once you escape the pressure of survival, what are you holding the axis for?
So, who is a shaft keeper? Is this a billionaire philanthropist? A monk in the mountains?
It's neither, and it could be both. A shaft keeper isn't defined by their bank balance or fame. They're defined by their internal stability. It could be a business owner, a community leader, or just the head of a family.
What makes them a keeper? What are they doing differently?
They are the person who does not panic when the crisis hits. They are the person who does not transfer risk to others.
Transfer risk. That's a specific phrase. What does that look like?
Well, in an office, a bad manager transfers risk. When things go wrong, they blame the team to save their own bonus. They save themselves by throwing someone else under the bus. A shaft keeper absorbs the shock. They stand firm so that the people around them can stay standing. They have enough force and a strong enough axis to weather the storm without collapsing onto their neighbors.
I love that image. Someone who stands firm when the ground is shaking. And the text outlines 3 layers for the shaft keeper too, right?
Yes, the rule of 3s again. The first layer is the personal axis. You can't hold the axis for others if you're skewed yourself. This is about discipline, health, values. If you are chaotic, you can't offer stability.
Put your own oxygen mask on first.
Precisely. The second layer is the financial axis. This goes back to risk management. A shaft keeper is so solid financially that a personal failure doesn't collapse the collective.
So if a business owner makes a bad bet personally, it shouldn't destroy the livelihood of their employees.
Exactly. They've firewalled the risks. And the third layer is the community axis. This is about replication. A true shaft keeper doesn't want followers. They don't want people dependent on them.
They aren't trying to be a guru.
No. They want to create an environment where others can build their own axis. They want to create more shaft keepers.
That's a crucial distinction. The difference between a dictator and a mentor. One wants control, the other wants to empower.
And the text makes a profound point here. Society doesn't lack smart people. We have plenty of force. What we lack are people who have paid the price, survived volatility, and can stand firm to stabilize those around them.
So the ultimate goal of the wealth engine isn't just to buy a yacht. It's to become solid enough that you can be a point of stability for your community.
Yes, it shifts the narrative from accumulation to responsibility. But not a heavy burden responsibility. It's the responsibility of being a lighthouse. You just stand there and shine, and because you are solid, others can navigate.
It really connects money and meaning. I think a lot of people get cynical about wealth because they see it as purely extractive. I win, so you lose. But this model suggests a true wealth structure is actually what allows you to be a benevolent force. You can't be a pillar if you're crumbling under your own debt.
That's it. You cannot help the poor by being one of them, and you can't stabilize a shaking world if you are shaking yourself. The middle-class trap is a trap of instability. You're running too fast to stand firm. The way of the shaft keeper is about building a foundation so strong you can stop running and start supporting.
So let's bring this back to the listener. We've covered a lot of ground, from the hamster wheel to the 3 layers of the wealth engine to the duty of the shaft keeper. If someone is listening to this driving home from that job that feels like a trap. What's the first step?
The immediate takeaway is to stop looking at the speedometer and start looking at the map. Stop asking, how can I earn 10% more? Those are forced questions. They just make the wheel spin faster.
And start asking access questions.
Start asking, do I have a mechanism to protect what I have? Am I building a system that can run without me? And most importantly, where is my center of gravity? Am I living by my standards or borrowed ones?
It's about shifting focus from speed to position. It's not about how fast you're going. It's about how solid you are.
Yes. Wealth is not a reward for working hard. It is a structure you build. And it's a structure that requires patience, protection, and a very clear understanding of who you are and where you are standing.
I think that's the perfect place to land this plane. We started with the anxiety of the checklist, and we're ending with the stability of the structure.
And eventually, looking outward again, not to take, but to provide that stability for others.
So here is our final thought for you to chew on today, taken directly from the source material. It asks a question that might just change how you look at your bank account, your calendar, everything.
The world is full of people running fast, but are you running on a map or just running in circles? Do you know exactly where you are standing right now?
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.